We were told he wanted to talk to us about a controversy he became embroiled in while filming in Georgia this summer. We let him do that. But first, we'll let you get to know the man. 37-year-old Corbin Bernsen short-circuited a law degree to join the family business, show business. Father Harry is an agent turned producer, and his mom is Catherine Chancellor on The Young and the Restless. That Hollywood heritage led him to a steady job at one of Tinseltown's most historic movie lots. Stage 8 on the 20th Century Fox lot is where Emmy Award-winning L.A. Law now films its 6th season. We talked to Corbin in front of the Fox commissary during the lunch hour. The California native showed up ultimately casual in a look Arnold Becker would find out of order. Cocky, conniving, womanizing Arnie. Bernsen has taken on other persona on TV and the big screen. A Major League ball player, an unorganized criminal, an Atlanta police officer. But it's the unscrupulous Arnie who incenses and excites viewers weekly.
Come on, don't pout. After I dump her off, I'll come by your place.
What time?
Who did you pattern him after?
In the first couple of weeks out here, I met this accountant, and he'd say a sentence. He would say, "So we'll take your money, we'll put it in some sort of bond." And he'd have this big smile afterward. And he didn't look like Arnie Becker or anything, but he had this way of, like, putting a smile after everything he said. Now, his was a little bit forceful. I thought, now, if I could just pull back on that a little bit and make somebody feel so comfortable with everything I'm saying.
Is it better for Arnie to be promiscuous than to be faithful for the show?
I don't know if it's better for him to be promiscuous. It's better for him to be a little, can we say screwed up? I don't know. Can you say that? I said it anyway.
Oh! Arnold! I was working with the
A high percentage of the women who parade through Arnie's office get waylaid by the roguish divorce attorney. One paraded with him down the aisle, and Corbin's real mother, Jean Cooper, witnessed the ceremony, playing what else but Arnie's mother. Corbin's real-life wife, actress Amanda Pays from Max Headroom and The Flash fame, had her turn at art imitating life. She played Corbin's wife in the TNT production of Dead on the Money.
Quite frankly, acting with my mother and acting with my wife have not been what some would imagine to be the most incredible experiences in the world. I find acting with strangers far more interesting.
Why?
Because acting has to make your work the way I like to make it work. There has to be a certain amount of unpredictability to it. And there's also this other part where you look across and you say, that's my mother, that's my wife, and it's just to fake all the other stuff. I just find then you're faking it, and you also know what they're doing, and you see their faults, and you know that they can see your faults, and I don't know. It's like acting in front of a mirror or something.
How do you maintain a marriage when both of you are in the same career? Does one person have to sublimate their career?
No. Although I'll tell you quite frankly, in our life, Amanda's finding motherhood, I think, to be more interesting than acting. I think that she really loves it, and so it's working out kind of naturally in a good way.
Though don't rush to the thought, Corbin and Amanda are at any risk of becoming Ozzie and Harriet, with 3-year-old Oliver and baby number 2 expected in April. Conventional they'll never be. At the wedding, the bride wore blue velvet that had to be eased out to accommodate a 5-month pregnancy that produced Oliver. They delayed the nuptials because Amanda's divorce was not finalized. It was Corbin's second marriage, too, but he says this is it.
When I got married, I know guys literally who get married and say, look, if in a couple of years I get bored and I mess around, it'll be once, it'll be here, there, I love my wife, and they do, but they've put it into their little computer already that it's going to be okay. Well, I put into my computer very clearly, and I have a huge guilt kind of mechanism that I'm not going to, and I want to maintain a faithfulness, and I want to maintain an integrity to my relationship with my wife.
Very different from Arnie.
Yeah. You know, and because that was really important to me. I mean, family, because I have this philosophy that 20 years down the line, if you put in the time and you don't, kind of like marriage and love are like a savings account, if you put all this time and keep making the deposits on it without taking withdrawals, by the end, when you're 60 or whatever, you can retire and you're going to have a huge wealth of, in this case, love and time. And the child was much the same thing, and that is that if we're going to have a child, I'm going to have this child and not I'm going to be there for it life to me is very black and white. It's very clear. You commit, you do. It's so simple that way.
Now, what's your weak spot?
My weak spot is that all those things that I've just said, all of the above, are completely contradictory to life. That's the weak spot. They don't make sense. You're constantly paraded with beautiful women. You're offers to do movies when you should be with your child.
And he's taken a number of those offers. This summer, Corbin was in Georgia filming Grassroots, a miniseries based on Atlantan Stewart Wood's novel. The filming took them from the Burge Plantation in Mansfield to the governor's mansion on West Paces Ferry, and many a burg in between. Corbin leads the cast as a Southern attorney defending a man accused of rape.
Jerry, we got a trial date, 16th of next month.
Why did you take this role?
I find Southern manners and Southern characteristics really fascinating. It's one of the last gentle people, gentlemanly, quite opposite of the hick thing that I've been attributed as laying on.
The hick thing he mentioned referred to a controversy Corbin started after he left Georgia on an appearance of the Arsenio Hall show. Corbin made some comments that angered some Georgians. Corbin told Arsenio that a member of his film crew had been arrested by a small-town policeman for not leaving a closed hotel pool area. Corbin got upset about the arrest. Here's the conversation he had with Arsenio.
Why were they busted? Because they think you're from Hollywood, and they kind of target you, they go after you.
It's the Bible Belt down here.
And the crew said, yeah, I know, we're all from Atlanta. They said,
You don't get it, it's the Bible Belt.
I came in the next morning and basically said something about the local authorities, using a lot of wonderful adjectives to describe them. Later in the day, there was a dog running through the shot, and I made some sort of comments about what I'd do to the dog, and if I didn't do it to the dog, what this guy was going to do with the dog that night, and I found out it was the town dog. So,
Corbin, what's the town dog?
it's this little mangy mutt that looks like everybody in the town had it, man. One of the crew guys comes up and says, Corbin, I got to speak with you for a second. I said, what is it? He said, I just want to tell you, one of the cops had come up to me and said, how much longer does Corbin have to work on this movie? He said, I think he's here for another couple weeks. And he said, he ain't leaving town tonight.
Corbin says he took that as a threat to his life and got a gun to protect himself during the rest of his stay here. The TV writer for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution newspaper said Corbin had, quote, made fun of anyone who ever lived in a small town, made fun of the Bible Belt, and made off-color remarks about goings-on between a town dog and everybody in an unspecified town.
Nobody in any of those papers said, well, Corbin made fun of it, but maybe we owe him an apology in Georgia for having our law enforcement people here in this particular town threaten his life, joke or no joke. My heart was pounding. They all kind of thought I made fun of the Southerners. I came back after commercial and said, this is nothing against Georgia. I had a great time in Georgia. I love Georgia.
Well, before we talk about that, I do want to clear one thing up. Georgia is a great place, Yeah. Sometimes this stuff happens in these small towns, but I had a lot of fun in Georgia.
I'll tell you, you want to know the truth? You want to know the truth as I found out, and I say this with all honesty, and maybe I'll get myself in trouble again, I don't know. I find the people in Georgia sometimes to be a little self-conscious that people think of them as hicks and all of that, and I never intimated that in any way, shape, or form. I may have used a voice, but that's the voice the man had who threatened my life. When I made a kind of a goofy Southern voice, well, that's what this guy sounded like. Doesn't mean everybody in Georgia, doesn't mean you sound like that. And you can see this really gets me going because I had such a good time there, and I felt like I was really good to people, and I took pictures and did all of this, and I think I got this really bad rap, and it's really unfair for a place that I really enjoyed being. And I think that both papers owe me an apology because they never in there said, hey, but the man's life was threatened.
He says he hopes he can be welcomed in Georgia again, but in the meantime, it's back to the law books and back to living out a philosophy he developed on his high school football team when he discovered he wasn't going to be the most valuable player.
And I wasn't going to get the big trophy, but I worked the hardest. And that was good because I never took anything for granted. That Oscar or that Emmy may always be that carrot in front of my nose, And that's okay because I've met a lot of people who eat the carrot and all of a sudden the tortoise takes off in front of him.
Do you know how to rest?
No. We take the big dirt nap at the end, and that's forever.
The big dirt nap. Never heard it put quite that way. You can currently see Corbin at a theater near you in the movie Shattered. Grassroots, the miniseries shot in Georgia, doesn't have an air date as of yet.